My father used to say, "Watch this man."
He's been cited by IGN, The Quartering, Timcast, The Daily Wire, Bounding into Comics, and even Dr. Jordan B. Peterson.
As the insider WDW Pro recently speculated on.
Time and time again, he's broken big entertainment news live on the air.
I've been following WDW Pro and his track record for years. If you want to find out what's on the horizon for theme parks, Pro is where you go.
Let's check in on Rian Johnson's new trilogy.
Okay. I bypassed the compressor.
What did you do, Ray? Son of a... That's gonna leave a mark.
Now, he was okay, after 6-7 weeks. Okay? They get over it. Kids are resilient like that.
Yeah.
I hate it.
It's the standard, what would George do?
I don't want you here.
So sorry, George, I didn't think it would go like this.
Fly, you fools.
I've fallen, and I can't get up.
Weird. Stay away from liquor, kids.
I have always liked Cowabunga.
Cowabunga!
Now that's more like it, Mr. Wayne.
It's about how hard you can get hit and keep moving forward. How much you can take and keep moving forward.
The Force will be with you. Always.
That's how winning is done.
I am vengeance. I am the night.
That's what she said.
I am Batman.
If I won tonight, I would come home and we'd celebrate. Well, I'm coming home, we're celebrating. God bless you all.
Watch your habits, for they become your character. And watch your character, for it becomes your destiny. What we think, we become.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, in just 2 minutes, the lighting at the Magic Kingdom will dim for the performance of the Pro Show. We hope you enjoy and have a magical, truthful time. For the safety of others, please, no flash photography. And welcome to Provision 3D.
Alright, everyone, put on your comfy glasses.
Keep learning, keep growing, and keep having fun.
To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
You know that you've been taught the golden rule, do unto others as you'd have them do unto you.
Yes, Paul.
Autobots, roll out.
I'm bringing the party to you.
If somebody's going to try to blackmail me with advertising, blackmail me with money.
Fortune and glory, kid. Fortune and glory.
We're gonna do it!
All right, it's time to go to school, son. Come on, get your hands up, man.
Are you okay?
They'll never take of freedom!
From the redwoods of California to the hills of Tennessee to the Rockies in the Sunshine State and Maine with that bright and shining sea. From coast to coast in North America, it's time for your host with the most, bringing you all the entertainment news that should be fun. Ladies and gentlemen, it's the WDW Pro Show! Well, Jonas, it's just you and me to start off with. The others are still watching, still suffering. The suffering continues on. But you and I, we have trudged through the sludge that is the grand finale.
Down the road. Down the road. Down the witch's road, which is the most important and apparently the dumbest thing. How soon are we doing spoilers on this thing? Because
we'll get to spoiling in just a moment. But I will say, Jonas, that I did not have in my bingo cards for this one that the episode or the series would end with the penultimate episode. And then we would be treated to a rather pointless finale episode, which is actually a prequel for the most part. There's
a really good point.
There's some story, but you really got to give it to them. You really, really got to give it to them that they waited until the 9th and final episode to say, here's what you should have known from the beginning, and we didn't want to do it in order because we're just that way. So here, you'll get the absolute backstory for, 90% of it, and then you get to deal with dead people.
Yeah, I mean, really, when it comes down to it, this was supposed to be a mystery box where the more that happens, the more you realized that they meant it that way all along, forgetting that it actually has to be entertaining the entire way through.
Jonas, the best way to craft a riddle, if you're completely untalented, if you're a talentless hack, the best way to craft a riddle is throw the people in a story and purposefully don't tell them the things they need to know and then pretend that you were a genius for doing it. And then in the last episode, instead of it having an ending that continues on, just be like, oh yeah, you know how you're completely confused about any of this and you don't care, and most of you never watched to this point anyway? Well, here's the stuff you should have known from the very beginning. Enjoy it. Instead, we did a Police Academy parody in the first episode instead of telling you this.
That's a really good point. I forgot where we started on this, which was supposed to be light parody of the Mayor of Eastwick, Mayor of Easttown. Mayor.
And you know what I love even more, Jonas, as I continue on my rant right now before the rest get in here? I really, really love it when there's a witch of death who is a substitute for the death angel, right? Take that, religions of the world. It's a witch. And guess what? The witch has to kill your kid. Why does the witch have to kill your kid? Nobody knows. Does she have to? She says she does. Why? Nobody knows. Are we going to tell them why? No. It's just like everything else in this stupid series. There is no rhyme. There is no reason. And we are supposed to think that it all matters and has gravitas. It does not. Jonas, why did evil, dark Dia de los Muertos witch, why did she have to kill the kid? What was the whole point?
To move the plot along, because there has to be some kind of rift between the two of them, I guess. Why does the rift exist between the two of them? Well, apparently it predates her just walking off in the middle of the night with her child.
But Jonas, at least this series did what we needed it to do, which was really prove finally in this episode. It waited until now to really prove that it is a friend of a particular community of people. When Agatha and the Witch of Death didn't just kiss, but I'm talking about they went at it like ferrets in heat, separated by a cage for a month. They went at it, baby. They were making out. I'm pretty sure one of them ate the other's face.
I'm trying to think if there are any more. There aren't that many kisses in the MCU, first of all.
None has ever been so passionate as the Witch of Death, dressed like who is the
I can't think of the character in Dia de los Muertos, the figure that the ladies are dressing as. I think it's Evita. I'm not sure. Anyway, but they're dressing as a woman when they dress up like that. Well, she's dressed that way, and Agatha and her, they have the most passionate lovemaking scene in the history of the MCU.
Well, I mean, there is a scene in Eternals that I think we've all kind of wiped from our memories. But
Tony
this is
Stark,
definitely the most passionate kiss in the MCU.
If Tony Stark had kissed Pepper Potts like that, the police would have arrested him.
I agree. We'd all be like, "Hey, Tony, you need to get a room or get your own roof," as we've all forgotten that Don Cheadle said in Iron Man 2.
You know, Jonas, I'm really happy that Tony Stark and Captain America, that nobody made a cameo here, because I'm pretty sure they would have made out with somebody. Pretty much everybody in this episode has made out with somebody of the same persuasion.
I'm trying to think. We did get voice cameos, although it appeared to be archive recordings of Elizabeth Olsen and Paul Bettany, and all that. It's also very confusing because you start to wonder, did any of this actually happen? Well, apparently it did, but all of it was in. I mean, I almost expected one of them to pull up a snow globe and say that the entire series happened inside of that snow globe, inside of a child's imagination. This is how clever they think they are with this 9-episode series.
Yep, folks, spoiler time now. We don't care anymore. Here's the spoiler. Here's the big one, I guess. Agatha All Along. Agatha making the decision to sacrifice herself so Billy can live on after being reminded of her son Nicholas was gut-wrenching. Gut. This sequence was so beautifully shot. You know what, Jonas? Last week, we did the same thing we do every single week, which is we play in the background clips of the episode that we're reviewing. Disney struck us. Now, not a bad one, folks, but they made a copyright claim, so we're not going to play the little moving pictures behind us. It's going to make less kinetic energy in the show, but we're going to have our panelists join in just a few. They're all excited. They're ready to go. They're in vomit-induced mode right now. Jonas, though, before our other panelists hit the ground running, let's hit the ground running with super chats while we can.
Let's do that. Yes, sure. First of all, SFX Sabretooth Raptor says, for $2, yakety yak. That's all, folks.
Oh, goodness.
Yep. It is not letting me see. Oh, wait, it is letting me see. Liz Murphy became a member at the potential level. It's not coming up in StreamYard, but Sutton Creek Productions gifted 1 membership. Thank you very much, Sutton Creek Productions.
That is the second time that Sutton Creek has gifted and that StreamYard didn't pick it up. We're going to have to pay attention to that, Jonas. Thank you, Sutton Creek.
Yep. And Samuel Main gifted 1 WDW Pro membership. Thank you very much, Samuel Main.
Thank you.
Samuel Main asks, member for 11, should Agatha have a TVM rating?
That's a fantastic question. Listen, that is a great question after what we've seen in these last 2 episodes. Jonas, I did not think that Marvel would have what they deem to be a protagonist standing in the middle of a glowing blue, fiery, what's my word here? What's my name for the star? I'm losing it now.
No, pentagram.
Pentagram. Pentagon was coming up in my head, and I was like, it's not Pentagon, it's pentagram. Okay, pentagram. So I just, there's a lot of, how do we put this on YouTube? There's a lot of allusions to Satan in this show.
Yeah, there are, and we fully expected
witchcraft kind of stuff's in this.
Yeah,
it's not.
Yeah, I would have expected Mephisto to show up in it as well. He didn't, but he did show up in Fortnite. I would say that this is a show that if you're not aware of all the things outside of it, probably a TV 14, except for the fact that there's a lot of, constant references to lesbian sexuality.
Beyond references, I really think that it's got there's an argument to be made that this is TV mature.
Yeah, it's completely inappropriate for the MCU, which is a franchise marketed to children. They're about to premiere Iron Man and His Awesome Friends on Disney Junior sometime within the next year, and when they get back to it, the Iron Man is going to be the centerpiece of the MCU once more. So whatever Marvel is doing right now with this, they need to decide whether or not this is something that they want the little kids to track. I half expect for Daredevil, and I get it. Okay, I get it that Marvel as the comic book franchise is not necessarily for kids, but Daredevil is about to beat the bloody pulp out of Kingpin, and there's also a possibility that Daredevil will show up on Iron Man and his awesome friends on Disney Junior within the same week. So I think Disney has got some lines they're gonna. Yep, there it is right there,
folks. Because of Disney from last week, we're going to have to do these frame by frame so you can see that it is.
Do we really need to go frame by frame? Anyway,
we're not going to zoom in. We're not going to zoom in, and this is the look that the audience had at every episode, by the way. And Jonas, you have bragged about this costume, at least to some degree, behind the scenes before we got started, and I'm here to tell you.
I didn't brag. I'm going to add context because you're making me sound.
You add
awful.
context. I don't want to make you sound bad, but before you do, this is the dumbest, and I'm going to make up a word here. It is the stupidest looking costume since the original Robin. He looks like he is he looks like he's wearing the chess piece for a baseball catcher or umpire. He has on a Roman cape, and he's wearing some sort of purple bedazzled headband that does absolutely nothing, has no point in the lore. This is the dumbest looking costume ever, but at least his face says everything we feel as he watches what's happening.
Yes. I'll say, is this a different kiss or is it? Nope, it's the same one.
Nope, they're still going.
I mean, I think we probably got the idea here, Pro.
Okay. Okay. I'm just, if we need to, we'll go back to this one. How's this? Because they say this one's beautifully shot. I don't know what this one is. Oh no, it's the same thing. I see. Over on X, apparently people are going to be freaked out and excited about the 30-second long smorgasbord of lesbian witch face sucking.
Right. So the thing I'll point out, the crowns are supposed to be a big deal, and the moment where he puts on the crown in another episode, they start playing the Billie Eilish song "You Should See Me in the Crown."
Where did he get the costume, Jonas? Where did he get the costume?
Wherever all the Marvel superheroes get their costumes.
No. Spider-Man made his costume. I know how this works.
No. Tony Stark did all the ones that look right.
In a costume.
Yeah. Well, this one probably does know how to sew for other reasons that I will also say that this was the moment, the reason that it was almost a relief that he showed up in that way. Once this scene started, it was like, oh, wait, we're actually going to do a Marvel thing here now at this point, because there's a very specific moment where they go out of fantasy and get into, for some reason, they're in this semi-technological basement there's a clock on the ceiling.
I was terrified that the X-Men were going to show up. I thought, please, no, please.
Well, like at the end of the Marvels that no one else watched either.
All right, Jonathan, we're getting ahead of ourselves. We've got panelists who are going to be joining us.
And we have more super chats.
And we have super chats. Let's get them up on the screen. Here we go.
All right. Ewan Cumia gifted 1 WDW Pro membership, as well as Cyrano 2960. Looks like a Blues Brother there now. Gifted 1 WDW Pro membership. Thank you very much to Samuel Main, Ewan, and Cyrano, and of course Sutton Creek Productions. I may have forgotten somebody in there. I apologize if I did. Let me just double check real quick.
I'm noticing that you may not have the ability to see all of these, so let me put a few up on here that you. Oh, there you go. Good job.
There it is. That is the big one that I wanted to save till the end here. John Maynor, thank you very much for gifting 20 WDW Pro memberships. I'm not going to say it makes our suffering worth it, but it does lessen the suffering a little bit.
Look at me. I doubted you, Jonas, and I was in the wrong. I should have known that you were watching out for John Maynor all along. And you know what? We haven't played this one in a while. I think it's apropos to celebrate John Maynor. Here we go.
I want to hear it.
Not right now.
Yes, now, Dusty Bun.
Wait. Okay.
All right. Fantastic stuff. Thank you, John Maynor. Thank you. And so many people now going to have access to more of those member exclusives that are coming out. Folks, don't forget to check out the emojis. We got to get some new emojis before the end of the year. There's just so many changes happening all over the channel, going to 4 videos a day, having 2 pro shows now a week. And by the way, folks, we want to thank each and every one of you out there as we top 400 in the audience this evening, getting ready for our panelists to join us. But we want to thank you because we have had a record-breaking month. More than 5 million views in the month of October alone, and we're not done. So who knows where we will land when all is said and done. But thank you so much, folks, for helping us take off towards the stars. And of course, that Park Place, that Pod Place, that Game Place, heck, even Vacation Radio, they're all doing fantastic. But thank you so much for a record-breaking October for the channel. Jonas, we've got a member getting ready to join us here, a member of the panel, of course. So let's bring him up on the screen.
All righty. Well, he took the slow path down the Witch's Road, and I'm very curious to hear his take on these last 2 episodes. He's experienced, 80 minutes worth of this unique show. Let's bring in Marvin, the movie monster.
What's the point anymore? What's the point of anything?
What if you came back as a ghost?
Actually, what is
like it's Harry Potter?
Why do we do it to ourselves?
Just what's the point of life? I'm contemplating the existence of the universe at this point. I'm just like, I just spent 80 minutes watching this absolute dreck.
So Marvin, what we have said, or at least I've said it, and Jonas agreed with it, and I like it when Jonas agrees with me. But Marvin, don't we all? Marvin, I enjoy a good show where it waits until the very last episode to then do a prequel and show us what we should have known from the very beginning. It's a real joy.
And then to find out that the thing that you spent the entire time, focusing on was just nothing.
Yep. Yeah, we haven't told
had no meaning,
and we don't care about spoilers. But yeah, this is Joker 2 again. It's all in the mind.
Yeah, I skipped that one. Although apparently one of Quentin Tarantino's favorite movies this year, that Joker, Folie à Deux.
Well, Quentin is going to love this.
Hold on, Jonas. It's pronounced Folie à Deux.
Yeah, that's the sound I keep hearing when people talk about this film. Okay. So what do we want to do? Do we want to talk about what happened in these episodes? Because I'm gonna have to jog my memory a little bit.
I first, Jonas, want to do the sell here. Can I make a pitch to the audience? Folks, we're going to do this in layers, okay? We're like Shrek. We're an onion tonight. Not parfait, because what we watched is not sweet in any way, and the aroma is on us now. So, I'll say this, though. We are going to be dealing with, later in the show, the Rachel Zegler absolute breakdown. She is in a PR mental crisis, and we're going to talk about it. So don't go anywhere. We're going to get into Rachel Zegler. We also have some stuff about Disney World that you do not want to miss. And, well, we might be talking about Joe Rogan just a little bit more because there's something big that's going on with the Joe Rogan experience, with the video, and with how the legacy news media is handling all of this, also known as not well. But we'll start with Agatha. We'll hit some of those other topics. We'll be talking more Agatha. It is an Agatha after party after all, but we've got a lot to talk about this evening. So,
what if we talked about Joe Rohde instead?
What?
Anyways, what if we talked about Joe Rohde instead? By the way, the King of Monsters for $1.99. You guys are heroes for watching Agatha for us. Really, because I feel like a jester for having.
Yeah, I was about to say I don't feel like a hero right now.
Real men watch Disney Plus.
Whew. Weird for $5 Australian. Will people remember anything about any movie from the last 10 years? We remember 70s, 80s, 90s show. No one will feel nostalgia from this era. This is a really good point. Again, as I'm very focused on the MCU right now. They blasted so many movies into theaters that you cannot savor them. You can't build a fan base. You can't have a Doctor Strange fan base because there's so many other movies that, it wasn't really Doctor Strange. It was about the Infinity Saga, or it wasn't even the Spider-Man movie. Well, that was actually about the multiverse. You don't watch anything in these movies and it not be about something that is not in the thing, which is, of course, also how this ended up. The last 2 episodes ended up being, I'm going to say it, a setup for the new Avengers. or the Young Avengers or whatever.
Yeah,
they end up
but that's
calling
not
it.
going anywhere. They're not doing new Avengers, and this kid's not going to be in anything. This is done. This is over because nobody watched it. It's an embarrassment to them. Now, to address the super chat, I will say that in the darkest night, the brightest stars shine even brighter. So, Godzilla -1, we're going to remember that one. Top Gun Maverick, you bet. Spider-Man, No Way Home, absolutely. There have been movies that are worthwhile, and because of how vile so many others have been, we're going to remember those films, and I think that's a good thing. I just wish there were a tremendous addition to that list of good movies over the last 10 years.
By the way, I think that Godzilla -1 might be $6 on Amazon right now on digital, not the physical.
It's the most affordable piece of art you could add to your home. Go buy it today.
Those that listen to my shows know, this is the week that I am going to swear vows to join my heart and soul to the woman that I love, and I took 80 minutes out of this week to watch Agatha All Along.
Glad to know you have your priorities straight.
It just keeps rattling around in my head.
Black Widow was better. I watched. I had that on this week. That was better. Captain Marvel made more sense, even though they show you the same origin story. They show the same flashback that she's not supposed to realize what happened. They show it 7 times. There's a travesty of storytelling, and I cannot believe Kevin Feige let that get to the big screen. But looking at this makes me realize he has no sense of taste whatsoever. This is a mystery box that should have stayed closed. And I think they're trying to set it up to say, well, if you watch it again, it'll be like you're watching something different. I think I'm only going to dislike it even more when I end up rewatching this, whether that is this week or several years from now when I am in the need of something to distract me from foot pain.
By the way, I'm having a good chuckle. Now, I was muted, so you didn't know that. But I've been having a good laugh because I was reading our backstage chatter. Folks, we have a way of communicating backstage. And what made me laugh out loud, seriously, is that about 30 minutes ago, Lauren realized that he had to watch another episode, that this was a double feature tonight. And I'm telling you, that was a great moment to see in all caps with exclamation marks and question marks, Lauren realizing that he was not done. He had to suffer more. That it's going to be great when he arrives. But Jonas, let's wrap up the super chats. Let's put what we have left on the screen, and then we've got 3 more panelists joining us in this time to dive in.
We're going to go a little bit faster this time. Neo gifted 1 WDW Pro membership. Thank you very much, Neo.
Because he is the one
That's
for 1
right.
membership.
Indeed.
Ken Reihard for $2. So it's over. Was it agony or apathy all along? There were moments of agony, and I got to say, there were some scenes that really read like a couple of middle schoolers doing a table read, which is not the quality we would expect from this level of actress. But I think it's apathy in the end. We'll talk about that more, though. John Maynard, member for 13. Let's not forget the 118,000 subscribers, and I would love to see a Ghost of Star Wars emoji, a.k.a. Wilton.
Ooh, I'm the Ghost of Star Wars. That's been running in the bumpers. Tomorrow will be the last day that will be in the bumpers until next year. But yeah, we enjoy having Floral. And by the way, if you enjoy Wilton being on the panel, well, don't miss the Pro Show tomorrow, because for the Halloween special, Wilton will be there in all of his trolly goodness. And yes, I had not realized we'd crossed the 118,000 mark, and looks like we're very close to crossing the 119 mark. I have asked, I don't know if we're supposed to do celebrations of milestones for 120, 130. I don't know. We'll figure it out as we go, folks. But thank you to everybody who's becoming a subscriber and joining in the fun here on the Pro channel.
Yep. Cyrano 2960, member for 7. Wiccan was looking at that kiss the way I look at people eating candy corn.
What's wrong with candy corn? I like candy corn.
I think it was more like watching an older person without teeth try to gum down a fruitcake. Not a single part of it was appealing. And there was a lot of slobber. And I'm not going to say spit. I'm intentionally going to say slobber.
Weird for 5 Australian. Marvin, you want faith in something? Mute and see the first 3 minutes of Hell's Reach on YouTube. I will give you faith, Battle Brother, fan-made stuff. Interesting.
I'll write it down.
Marvin is going to watch it. Marvin, I expect a member exclusive video on this tomorrow.
Sure.
Yep. And let's bring on some of our panelists here. First of all, a man who is too legit to quit and reminded me earlier today that we have all got to pray just to make it today. Mr. Ron Bradley.
Hey, Ron, click that mute button and get in here, man.
Okay. Oh my God. That was funny. That was a throwback to a long time ago in my stage career, but
please
hammer a lot more entertaining, I hope, than what the hell I had to watch tonight.
Ron, at some time it would be really fun to share with the audience, not tonight, but in the future, just all the fun things you've done in your career. People have no idea. And folks, I'll say this. We had Dean Cain on the show a few months ago, and Ron was like, "Oh yeah, I've been in stuff with him." I was like, "Really? You've been in stuff with you, hey?"
I mean, when it comes to Ron, you really can't touch this. But that being said, we need to bring in one of our panelists over there from That Game Place. Also, you really need to be checking out Lost in the Files. Nolan Thunder.
Thunder.
Hi, friends. How is everybody?
Hello, Nolan. Happy to have you aboard, sir.
This was my light at the end of the tunnel after going through that. Has anyone ever had like a really, really bad day and it's like, okay, just get through this. You guys are my light, so thank you.
Well, thank you very much. But you really know what is the light at the end of this tunnel. It is a gargantuan man who is a co-host over there on Tooneytown Wrestling, a guy that we'd love to have on these Agatha after parties. And I hope that we continue to have him on the Pro Show in some form here. Let's welcome him on, Mr. Kevin Apollo.
You're muted, Kev.
Good evening, gentlemen. How is everybody?
Good evening, Kevin. Happy to have you, man. As Jonas describes you, a gargantuan of a fella, but also a giant when it comes to commentary on the panel. And folks, yes, we are still waiting on Lorne.
And Regina Sharp says for $5, "You like candy corn, Marvin? You monster."
Never claimed to be otherwise.
Yeah, that's a good super chat, though.
It
also,
sure is.
It's a tongue sticking out emoji. So, speaking of tongue sticking out, what do you guys think of this episode of Agatha?
So is she Obi-Wan now? Is like
okay, so what do we want to do?
Hold on, Joe.
Do we want to recap this episode?
No, listen, Lorne is not getting out of this. There is no way. There is no possible way that Lorne gets his first spot on the thumbnail and we start this review without his disgruntled face having suffered through this. No, folks.
So do we just want to bring up random weird things from these last two episodes?
No. Jonas,
maybe we should play a game of was this actually in the episode with the people who have not seen it?
Jonas, we're going to go from one train wreck to another, and then we'll come back to the Agatha review once Lorne gets here. Folks, Rachel Zegler has lost her ever-loving mind. Let's do that.
One?
Everybody good with that? Everybody happy? In that case, here we go. All right, folks, out of Cosmopolitan. Oh, you thought Zegler had hit rock bottom before. You thought Agatha was as bad as it could get. Well, get ready, because Zegler is going to get fact-checked in one of the most kind publications she could ever find. Here's what it says. What's your favorite thing about yourself? They're asking Zegler. Probably my ability to say no, which is newfound, and also my resilience, though knowing when to hide to rebuild myself. Oh, interesting. Give us an example of the last time you hid. Last summer. Why? Because the internet was raging on about something beyond my control. You got blanking canceled? And she says, for being brown. For having brown skin, for playing Snow White. There was a lot of harassment from a certain group of people. They were showing up at my apartment and screaming profanities.
Really?
And this is where the funniest thing I have seen in a long time happens. There is a bookmark on this. There is
fact-checked her.
They fact-checked her in a footnote. Folks, You could not find somewhere that would be more apt to be kind to Zegler than Cosmopolitan. And here's what they fact-checked her with. While doing early interviews about her role as Snow White, Rachel called out the original 1937 movie for its dated ideas about women, among other things. The backlash was swift and harsh. So it wasn't for being brown. It was for being ugly. And I don't mean visually ugly. I mean being ugly towards Walt. Were you responding? Where I wanted to, in a way that it made it seem like it was tongue-in-cheek. Then it got to a point where it was not funny anymore, and I really hated myself for something that other people were telling me about myself. What, you're brown? But my ability to bounce back from that and still be passionate about the work I did for that project is something that I admire about myself. She goes on, folks, but I just want to take a moment here to recognize that Zegler tried to spin Cosmopolitan, and Cosmopolitan fact-checked her. Guys, who remembers the history of how this played out so we can refresh the minds of our audience so that they know that, no, Zegler, it's not because you're quote-unquote brown. That has Does anybody remember the very first thing? Nobody was saying a word about this. It wasn't on anyone's radar. And Zegler came out immediately with no prompting and said, I'm not going to bleach my skin for this role. That was her very first entry into announcing that she was Snow White. Panel, how does it feel to see Zegler now where she's actually being fact-checked by publications that should be absolutely on her side? It's egg on her face immediately. Maybe it's a turning point. I don't know. Panel, what do you think?
It's been
weird.
A couple of years. She needs to grow up. I mean, like literally needs to grow up because what has it been 2 years since the D23 interviews? And it's very clear that she has let this get really deep inside her. And it's affecting other projects. Hopefully not the John Lasseter project, because I'm actually looking forward to that. She's not really to be seen. It's animation, but I hope that at some point in time, somebody takes her aside and she gets the right mentors. It's very clear she's not had the right mentors in her life, and she needs somebody to mentor her. And when I was young, you talked about some of the things I did before. I had a drama teacher, and my drama teacher told me the best piece of advice for if I ever happen to make it big in the business. She said, I don't care if you get super famous or if you don't ever get famous at all. She said, never believe about you what they write about you. And it was the best piece of advice I'd ever gotten.
So let me ask this then to the panel. Ron, that's a great point. Why is it that Iman Vellani doesn't have these problems? Why does Jenna Ortega not have these problems? Why is it literally just Zegler? Why is it every single time? And if you look at it, okay, let's say it's not just Zegler. It's Brie Larson. It's Zegler. It used to be Jennifer Lawrence, right? We know the actresses and we know the actors who time after time after time, they're always in the middle of controversy. But this is the first time that I've ever seen one try to spin her situation and get fact-checked by a very left-leaning publication.
I think what happened was she saw Cynthia Erivo making an absolute jerk out of herself in the media over the last couple of days, just multiple times. It was like, oh no, my place in Hollywood is being usurped. I have to get out there and win my crown back.
Well, she's on a mission. You got to give her that. You have got to give her that.
I mean, if we're comparing her to Jenna Ortega, which is I suppose they're both young women and they're both considered women of color in some way, but Jenna Ortega, one, appears to be a better actress. I think Rachel Zegler's probably got her on singing, but she doesn't seem like a drama kid, despite the fact that Jenna Ortega has been in the industry from a very young age. She was also she's only like 22 years old, but she's put in the work, and from everything that my sources have told me, she's very respectful on the set, but there are these little hints out there that she respectfully pushes back on things that she thinks shouldn't be done, as opposed to going out and try to wage this war in social media. And there are people out there that I think like Rachel Zegler, who think that if you sound offended in your personal life and you get your way because you sound offended in your personal life, that will translate into social media, that they think that everyone thinks like the cool kids club, the pretty girl at the table, and if they can have their reaction from their little gaggle, a coven of friends, if you will, that is how the real world works. But no, the real world is not cool. The real world is a bunch of normal people who want to show up to a theater and see good-looking people, and they want to see a guy punch an evil person. They want to see a woman looking nice. They want to see someday my prince will come, and they don't want to be told that they are lesser or stupid or anything like that for liking the romantic elements of Snow White. I don't know what Rachel Zegler's problem is exactly, but I think she's probably not got a lot of life experience, and she sounds like she's a stuck-up brat. That's the worst thing I've said about her.
But you know, where does this ego come from? Like, where does the ego form itself from? Because this woman has achieved zero success, and I will say woman because I feel like a lot of people try to defend her by being like, she's just a kid. She's just a kid. No, she's a grown woman who should be out of college by now. So at the end of the day, where does this come from? Because she has made more bombs than Stark Enterprises.
But that's the thing, Marv.
Not a single successful movie yet. Go ahead, Kevin.
The petulance and entitlement are a heck of a drug. And it is something that has been allowed to foster, in particular, this young social media generation for decades. So all you're really seeing is some chickens coming home to roost. And she doesn't have the right people in her life to tell her when to shush. She's just behaving as she has been programmed to behave.
She very much acts like a 12-year-old narcissist and doing like a temper. It seems to me that she's constantly trying to manipulate the audience. So she does things that are clearly controversial and will clearly start drama that's negative to her career and negative to the aspirations of whichever studio's behind her. And then she gaslights that, and then she repeats the process all over again. Let's read this that she says here. It says, well, for some people, it is the job. So I think it gets blurry. It's talking about, well, it comes with the territory of being a celebrity. You're going to have detractors. And she responds and says, for sure. People say, well, that's what you signed up for. It's like, no, I signed up to make movies. I signed up to be in a Broadway show. I signed up to make music. I didn't sign up to be a plastic doll for a bunch of people to pull apart and play with. Well, actually, if you're playing Snow White, you actually, in your contract, did sign to become a plastic doll for little kids to do. Anyway, everybody's first comment to you is like, Twitter's not the world, babe. Just move on. And it's like, well, my dog is scared of cameras because of how many people used to be outside my building.
I'm sorry. Did you become a Hollywood celebrity and not know the paparazzi existed? What did you think was going to happen?
It's so bizarre. It is. I mean, just the things she says. And this thing that she's doing now where she says that she's going to move, well, she is. She's moving to New York to star in a Broadway play, and that's what she's going to do. And it's like, how can people not see that she's probably been advised to do a career change? And they're building up these stories around that because she's better. And by the way, I think she'll do far better on Broadway because some of her more abrasive statements won't be in the newspapers. And frankly, the audience that goes to Broadway is going to be more accepting of that.
No, I see. Here's, and just to bring up the list of films she's been in right now: West Side Story, Shazam,
Flop.
Fury of the Gods,
big flop.
Hunger Games, Ballad of Songbirds and Snakes, also
worst
flop.
of the franchise.
Yeah, something called Y2K, Spellbound, which is going straight to Netflix, hasn't come out yet, and Snow White. And Snow White will not make its money back. It's going to be possibly a $500 million loss for the Walt Disney Company if they pay to advertise it. So the only thing that she has is this Romeo plus Juliet that's going to be playing at the Circle and Square Theater in Broadway. But right now, there's a name that I don't know if any of you are familiar with, but Charlie D'Amelio is doing a play called And Juliet, and everybody likes her, and she's also pretty, and she is great at social media. And if they're trying to bring in the audience that Rachel Zegler should be bringing in, Charlie D'Amelio is going to beat the pants off of her.
Well,
all I know is this woman does not make money.
Until no one in this audience has any idea who I'm talking about. She's really big on TikTok.
Well, Rachel seems like she. I'm sorry. I was just going to say Rachel seems like she's trying to be the AOC of young female celebrities. To me, she comes across in social media like AOC comes across.
Ron, I've never heard anybody say that. You have hit it spot on. And the problem with being AOC, if you're going to be an actress, is that it's going to limit you to maybe a third of all the demographics across the market are going to want that. That's the problem. So ultra confident, also says things without very much knowledge of the subject matter whatsoever, then makes huge mistakes, then gaslights you as to what's happening, then blames everyone else for the situation, then does it again without a single lesson learned. That's Zegler in a nutshell. Guys, any other thoughts before we wrap up Zegler?
She needs
I think it's really
wrap up.
I personally think it's really self-destruction on her part. You know, we're kind of used to at this point, you know, seeing a lot of celebrities making it all about, you know, their appearance and such. We're seeing that with the witch actor, not the show we're talking about tonight, Wicked Witch of the West, like the Wizard of Oz thing coming out here soon. You can tell
Cynthia Erivo is who you're talking about.
Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you, Marvin.
She's the lead story for the pro show tomorrow, folks. She's doing her darndest to screw that box office up.
Yeah. And I think the main difference between, say, like with Zegler is she went and attacked Snow White. And the difference with that is when you go out and you say like how problematic Snow White is, you can have all your political opinions on X. You can say all you want about how you're going to be this symbol of a generation, you know, and all your struggles you're going through. When you attack Snow White, you're not just attacking Walt. You're attacking so many fans of that. And whether people realize it or not, they hold on to those movies almost like their family because they have memories attached to those VHS tapes they used to watch. Or heck, when they're watching it with their own kids now on Disney Plus, or maybe their grandma. When you attack that, it becomes personal. And you're basically telling those people, your childhood was problematic and it didn't matter.
And she also attacked the ride.
Exactly.
I mean,
like you've struck a chord with people.
Someday my stalker will come. All right, well, we've got a stalker out there who's about to join the panel, folks. No, not an actual stalker, but someone you've been waiting for, and someone we've been waiting for to do this review because we simply could not do it without him. Folks, get ready because it's about to get very interesting about here. Jonas, it's time to find out who's at the door.
Who could that be? Let's go see, boys and girls.
It's Lauren.
Welcome, Lauren.
Welcome,
Hi,
Lauren. How
Sorry,
are you?
I'm late.
No.
I'm feeling much better now.
All right. Well, before we get to the review, Jonas, let's pull up some super chats and we'll make sure we've cleared the deck, and then it's time to get into the review of the final two.
We've got one more here. Yeah, weird for $2 Australian. Marvin, did you see Hell's Reach yet? Well, Pro rambled.
Did I watch the 50+ minute YouTube video? No,
I rambled
in
for
the last
while,
10 minutes.
Marvin. No,
I looked it up. I will say right off the bat, it does not look like a thing that I would personally enjoy, but I'm glad somebody made it if it's fan made.
All righty.
All right, let me put Lauren up here. And okay, now I'm back where I belong. Okay, it is time, folks. We are going to review the finale for Agatha All Along, as well as the entire series, because they canceled this before it even released. So they are really confident in it. Are we confident now that we've been forced to sit through it and watch it? Jonas, I hand my show to you for a moment, sir. Please give us the recap. What happened in these final 2 episodes?
Dear. Now I have to remember the 80 minutes of garbage that we just watched. Okay, so this starts with several characters dead. Because I don't know if you guys remember episode 7, in which Lilia defeated the Salem 7 in one foul blow. They wandered into a trap that was set for the previous for the episode that had nothing to do with them. So essentially, they resolved that whole thing, no problem. And the Asian witch that is a fire or protection witch, she is now dead, and Death shows up to have her walk off with her, and she's like, "I can't be dead." No, you were dead. And the potions witch, played by Jennifer, Sashir Zamata, Jennifer Kale is another name for her.
I thought that was Buzz Lightyear.
It was Buzz Lightyear. She did play Buzz Lightyear.
Can we say that the Potions Witch has a moment in the series which is clearly meant to be allegory for the oppressed escaping the oppressor, and the Agatha is the oppressor, the woman who is the Potion Witch is the oppressed, and it seems to me to be metaphor for something much larger regarding race relations. Is that fair?
I probably, yeah, and the way she screams about it. By the way, just going to remind everyone that Sashir Zamata is a comedian. So maybe they were hoping she would ad-lib here and make this a funny show. Still not landing. There's some kind of argument between Death and Agatha about their relationship. It doesn't really matter.
They're hot and heavy lesbian lovers, right? Agatha and Death.
They are, but the kiss doesn't come until the which episode? No, it was this one, because I'm trying not to spoil this in the 2 minutes it'll take before we get there, but they end up in some
Aubrey
kind
Plaza isn't even in the last episode, so.
That's true.
No, you're right. She is in the flashback. Sorry, I'm wrong.
Oh, that's right. That's right. She is in the prequel episode that's at the end. So they all end up in some kind of basement or morgue, and they're in body bags for some reason. And when I say all of them, it's just Billy and Agatha and Jennifer, and they pop out, and they have to figure out something to solve their problems. And the Jennifer gets her powers back, and so she disappears off of the Witch's Road. And there was some kind of deal, by the way, that was made to where she said, "I won't take you if you can deliver the boy to me and have the boy show up willingly and submit to death." So she's supposed to go in here and kill the boy. There is some kind of scene where he is reliving moments of WandaVision, but only with audio. And they figure out that there is some way for him to connect with his brother, who didn't steal a body several episodes ago. And basically that all gets resolved, and he disappears. And Agatha is left there
both of those
herself.
boys are fake, imaginary figments of the Scarlet Witch's imagination. They're not real.
Right. Except other universes, according to other multiverse aspects or whatever. If you follow Doctor Strange Mom. Now, somehow Agatha has some kind of revelation here. It crushes the basement, and she runs out. There's a flower that blooms and then withers or whatever. She runs out of the basement, and she ends up, I'm not exactly sure where, because now we're at Billy, and Billy has gone back to his house. His parents are like, "You've been gone for 24 hours. That's weird. Are you okay?" "Yes, I'm fine." Goes up to his room, and he realizes that he was imagining the Witch's Road the entire time and manifested the Witch's Road into existence.
Are we in the final episode at that point?
I'm a little confused by it, but essentially, I think that
By the way,
in the second to last episode.
They literally ripped off an episode of Buffy for this entire series.
So
Are we talking about Dawn?
Just so the audience understands our pain right now. Kevin's pain, Lauren's pain, all of us were in pain. None of this was real. The final episode, it all happened in Billy's mind, and Billy isn't real either.
What? No, wait. Are you saying, okay, I don't know how much of that was
all in
joking.
Billy's mind.
because Billy is supposed to be, and this isn't Billy either. It is the soul of Billy that has infested another boy named Billy, and which is already complicated enough. Can't wait for that origin conversation. Wait for those Joss Whedon quips whenever they do the new Avengers. He manifested this into happening because apparently he also has reality bending powers akin to the Scarlet Witch. So we now have a young gay teen who has the same powers as the Scarlet Witch. Well, Marvin, I have to ask you: are these Wiccans' powers in the comics?
I do. That's a Kevin question more so than me because
Kevin?
I'm
yes and no. Yes and no. They kind of got some stuff right. They kind of played fast and loose with how strong his reality warping powers are, but I also have tapped out and haven't opened up a Marvel book in a couple of years. So I'm kind of apt to say who knows at this point.
Okay. I'm going to say it's weird in the show, no matter how they do this. So they've now, of course, you can't give anybody ultimate power if they're a man, but you can if they're a gay man, apparently. So I forget exactly how this episode ends and the next one begins. Again, it was a very long 80 minutes here. So after they've resolved the fact that pretty much everyone Agatha's dead at this point, by the way. I don't know if that was clear because it wasn't clear to me, except that she comes back as a ghost.
It's important
and I thought
say
that,
that she's dead because she basically voluntarily went for the kiss of death.
I missed the entire stupid fight. That doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So
she was saying she was gonna sacrifice herself. Then she fed Billy to death. And then she was like, nah, never mind. I'm actually going to be a good guy. It was the episode of Angry Beavers where Norb is Baron Bad Beaver. And he's like, I'm Baron, once bad, then good, then bad again. Now good once more, Beaver.
I will say, while the weird energy blast fight was the worst part of WandaVision, it was probably one of the better parts of Agatha All Along because, you know, they're both careening towards that average area, you know, that just like, okay, well, it's people fighting with energy blast. That's better than them contemplating whether or not they want to buy jade eggs and scented candles. I'm not going to go into
If you're moving towards the average area, I don't think careening is the word. That's too extreme. It's probably more like they were ambling towards average.
Maybe. But that is the moment where Wiccan gets his costume, and it reminded me for a brief moment that, oh, this is supposed to be a superhero show.
And it clashed. It clashed so much with the art direction of the show. Like, I've seen Power Rangers sync the costumes in to make it mesh better with the franchise, and that was two different shows they were trying to combine. This was awful.
When he floats down, sorry, bro.
He looks like a baseball catcher and a Roman soldier had a baby with a purple headset.
Yeah,
it's clearly supposed to be a moment with the music swelling and like this big moment where he's revealed, and I'm like, I don't care, not at all. There's not one part of me that is like, oh, this is cool. No, it just was nothing.
He also, he gives up his powers to for Agatha, and then Agatha supposedly sells him down the river, but it was her plan all along to die. Okay. Are there any details here that I'm missing before we can get to the last episode?
Who is the good person in the show? Is there
Wiccan.
one?
It's supposed to be Wiccan at this point.
I don't care who it's supposed to be. Who's the actual good person?
Yeah, Kitty was the good person, and she died in like the third episode.
I actually thought Kitty was going to be a big surprise. I thought that she was going to return somewhere at the end here for some big reveal.
I did too. That she wasn't going to be an ignoramus when she came back. That's what I thought. But that was too clever.
So then the last episode, they give all the details of Agatha's life. And it is that she spent her life and she had a child who ended up, his name was Nicholas Scratch. They have no comment on who the father is or anything like that. But
I thought she said she made him from scratch. I thought that was the whole point.
Is that
they did.
Oh, so
Yeah.
they have immaculate conception in this one too. That's fantastic.
Oh, how great would it be though if Death is the father? So we have another show with lesbian witches conceiving a child.
We have
I'm
two shows
amazing.
in a
I
row
think
that are
Death-
singing
Death gave
lesbian
birth.
covens.
Death gave birth to a child she must kill with another lesbian witch in the exact same way that the Star Wars lesbian witches brought children into this world.
Right. So
Same
basically,
writers?
she has this little boy.
Air vents at Disney.
Yeah. So she has this little boy that she has him going around singing about the Witch's Road. And she's made up this song so that witches will be like, ooh, tell me about this road. So they
Good
join
parenting.
up in a coven. And then she kills those covens and takes all their power. So she's made up the concept of the Witch's Road.
But she doesn't do that until after he dies, right?
No, she went around stealing everybody's power.
She's using the kid as bait.
Yeah, the boy was an accessory to murder.
Yeah, she was using the kid to sing in the taverns to get the people interested.
Well,
Right.
now I'm
So
even
the-
more excited about her being the character that we follow with Billy on their grand adventures in the future.
So Agatha wrote the Witch's Road song and taught it to Nicholas Scratch. Then at some point, Death wanders in and is while they're sleeping, and she's like, "You need to come with me now. We need to go visit Pawnee, Indiana."
I've got to give you candy. Can you get in my Astro van?
He literally just walks off in the night. And it's supposed to be that the kid died. That's it. And then she's sad and she murders more witches. So this is all to say that the Witch's Road was made up and Wiccan believed that it was real. And through the power of his Scarlet Witch powers that he's got, he manifested the Witch's Road into existence. And that was the surprise of the whole series.
And the Witch's Road, by the way, at the end, all it is a giant therapy session for the writers who have serious trauma in their lives.
Right. And I have to say, people working out their trauma on screen is not something that you should spend $50 to $200 to $250 million to do. I don't know how much this show cost. They say it's the least expensive Marvel show yet in live action.
Having seen this now, having seen people floating around in the air and all the other Marvel stuff, give me a break. That report that came out of who put that report out? Was that D'Alessandro who put that out?
It was
saying that it was $30 million for 30.
Did it, and then one of the trades reported.
Okay,
so it was all Tassie, and then
of course it's Tassie. D'Alessandro, I apologize. Go ahead, Kevin.
I mean, I believe it because for 7.5 episodes, they just stood in a circle and yapped at each other.
It was a pretty crappy set.
Oh yeah, no, the set was so bad when she tore into that set later on. I'm like, yeah, that's basically how I feel about this show. Like, the sets are garbage.
At least I could rip through a screen and leave.
So now Agatha comes back as a ghost, and she talks about how it was her plan all along to become a ghost and find her power that way. And she's going to figure out how to be powerful as a ghost. And Wiccan is on his search to find, I'm going to say Tommy Maximoff, because I don't want to say that he's on his search to find his character's name, because that sounds like he's searching for a high.
She's Obi-Wan.
She's
they
make an Obi-Wan joke on this. I do believe. So that's the end of the show. Is they're supposed to be saying that, oh well, this is all things that he imagined the entire time. Again, they don't bring in the concept of Billy being Billy Maximoff, who has absorbed the body of William Kaplan until many episodes in. So they don't even introduce the concept of the bottle here, or the replay or the recursive aspect of it, until halfway through the show. And now at the end, almost the end, they're like, no, it was the entire thing was his imagination. And then after that, they explain who Agatha is. I will say, in all of this ridiculousness, these were the best 2 episodes of the series.
I didn't realize
that's really not saying much.
I didn't realize that witches had Ghostbuster proton pack beams and that you could absorb those to take their life force from them. It's really the things you learn from Marvel. The things you learn.
Ghostbusters would be an excellent addition to this show.
I wish.
I think the greatest. I think the show's greatest accomplishment was completely dispelling the myth of Kathryn Hahn as a good actress. Because my goodness, was she terrible. I thought she was the worst thing in this show. She chews the scenery for the entire thing. Every time she opens her mouth, the show comes to a screeching halt. And I thought that was the worst possible thing in this show until the very end of the second to last episode, when we got to watch Aubrey Plaza for the first time ever try to be a character that's not April Ludgate. And I was like, no, this is worse, because Aubrey Plaza's acting at the end of that episode is shockingly horrific.
She went straight cartoon witch bad.
Yeah, you know what's funny is she was in Legion, and she was pretty good in Legion.
But she played April Ludgate in Legion.
Yeah, she
was the Shadow King was April Ludgate, essentially. The character was still that snarky, kind of sarcastic younger woman who rolls her eyes and everything. Like, it was the same thing. It's the thing about her that I've always said is she only plays one character, but that's okay because I like that character. We finally got to see her try something new, and it was just jaw-droppingly horrendous.
Great. Oh. I really, really want to know, though, how Lauren feels about all of this.
Yeah, well, I wanted to make a joke about jaw dropping after the makeout scene, but now I don't get to. Lauren, go ahead.
I'm mostly just relieved. I still feel that the worst episode is the one that everybody knows I felt was the worst episode. I really hated the next to last episode. I thought the last episode was the best one of the series. So it's kind of hard to tell you how I feel about it because, let me put it this way. Had the last episode showing the backstory of Agatha and Nicholas Scratch and all of that.
In the first episode.
Yes, it would have been much better, I think.
Because we were scared.
Yeah, and you can see it's like the whole problem with the show is, as you said, there are no good guys in this, including Billy. Because ultimately, he did kill people. It may not have been his intention. He may not have realized he was doing it. But going back to the basement and putting their names on a stone as a sign of respect doesn't make up for the fact that he killed them.
Well, maybe he'll take on somebody's last name. Maybe he's Billy Skywalker next.
Lauren, you actually make a really good point. I think this show would be markedly improved by moving the last episode to the beginning and then having Catherine Hahn the entire time being like, I made up the Witch's Road. I have no idea what's going on here. I think the stakes would have been raised immeasurably.
Well, there's a couple of things that work in the last episode, and one is that you actually do buy the relationship between her and Nicholas Scratch. You can see that she loves this boy. He loves her. She knows there's a ticking clock, and she's terrified every day that it's going to be today. That's what worrying as a parent is. It's like you have this other life that you're now responsible for that is the center of your being. And it's likely that nothing's going to happen today, but it's always in the back of your mind. It could. And that's a scary feeling. And it's something that you never get away from as a parent. That gives you something to actually tie to with Agatha, because it's like, okay, there's been nothing redeeming about you throughout this entire show, but this feeling you have, I understand this, and that gives you something. Also, I think that it was wise of them to lay it out as this story about how she gave up the soul of her son to achieve the Darkhold, and really it's that she had nothing to do with it. It was just a tragic occurrence. Her son died, and she let that story go on. And that means that there is something there that you can kind of hold on to, that she's keeping that secret. That part works. It's the only part that does, because ultimately none of these characters have a redeeming quality.
One of my favorite things about Lauren's assessment is we find out from Lauren, and we all know this, we just now can verbalize it because he's done so for us. It took 9 episodes, and in the 9th episode, we finally had a human emotion from Agatha that we understood and that felt human. And there were 8 episodes where nothing about her or the other characters feels human at all, and we can't relate to them.
Well, how about the moment where he's like, oh my gosh, I killed 3 people. And she's like, it's okay because you saved 1 life. And they show Candle Witch flying away. And I was just like, wait, how does that even how does 1 life You didn't even save her life. You just
She
helped
was
her get her
going to
magic
work
back.
at Marvin. She was going to go work at a Bed Bath and Beyond. Actually, I think that went bankrupt. We'll have to change it. She was going to go work at a what's the candle store, guys? Help me out. What's the name of that one?
Yankee Candle.
Okay, that'll work. She was going to go work at Yankee Candle, Marvin.
I ironically, where I
Ivana.
live, Bed Bath and Beyond is a Spirit Halloween right now.
It's too perfect. Actually, we'll keep it.
Well, no, but it almost sounded to me like they were like, it's okay that you killed 2 white ladies and a white adjacent Asian lady because you helped a black woman find her agency again.
Well, she went on to become a manager at a Bath and Body Works.
They keep skipping over that he possibly murdered a little boy to will his brother back into existence.
Yeah, I forgot about that. That was actually almost a horrifying scene, because when he actually asks the question, "Am I killing this boy to save my brother's life?" and then he's gone. And they try to save that by having Agatha say, "No, sometimes boys just die." And given her experience, she's trying to say that, "No, you're not doing this." But it's the same mistake they made with WandaVision. It's the same exact thing. And they've had years of hearing people talking about this, and they still did the same thing.
Okay, let me show you guys very easily how bad the writers are for this show. Okay, everybody ready? The entire show hangs on the fact that Agatha had her son taken away from her by her lover, who is literally death. Everybody agree with that? That's the pinning of the whole show.
Yep.
Why did the Death Witch, substituting for the Death Angel, why did she have to kill the kid? What was the reason?
There is zero reason given.
All right, there you go, folks. There's the show in a nutshell. We have no idea. I mean, all you have to do is ask one question. All you got to do is ask one question about the entire premise of the show, and everybody goes, "I have no idea, actually."
I would actually push back on that a little bit.
All right,
there is a reason for that.
You're going to say this was Billy's show all along.
Death is not evil. Death is neutral. Death is actually, as they say in the show, out of death does come life. And so it has no agenda when it comes. It is just nature's will. Death does come, and it is not due to virtue or malice or anything else. It just comes. It's random. And that's what happened here.
Can I just throw this in here? Can you imagine if they actually perform that scene, though? They have the scene of her walking off with the kid, and then you have the scene of Catherine Hahn waking up and it's reality and the kid is dead and she has to emote like that, as opposed to Death literally walks off with her kid as if the kid is still alive. That would be a powerful scene, but instead we get this weird MCU, I mean, like F-tier MCU combo jumbo.
The kid was going to be with Tony Stark, Jonas. It's a lovely, lovely CGI.
I'm sorry. Are we at Spider-Man now and Tony Stark Jr.?
Yeah, let's do that.
That would,
All right,
that
guys,
would be
it's time to go around the horn and do our review score for not only the finale, but we're just going to go ahead and give our review score for the entire series. Again, they canceled this before they ever released it. So there is no season 2. There is no season 3. This is it. We're going to give our score for the entire series, and we're going to start with Ron Bradley. Ron, go ahead. I'll be keeping tab so we get the average, so we can enumerate this up on the screen.
A lot of it was so bad for me. The last 2 episodes, I don't know. It's just so not worth watching. And here's my thought process behind this. A lot of people will not have watched this when at some point in time, Billy and Tommy will reunite, and they'll be like, who the heck are these 2 kids? They won't even know.
I watched and I still don't know either. So
and for that, I'm going to give the series like a 2 out of 10.
Right. 2 it is. Kevin, your go.
All right. So after 26 hours of watching Boring Witches on Disney Plus, 17 hours of it being 17 hours of it being
26 hours of this.
17 hours of being boring lesbian witches. As a young man whose formative years were pre-internet, I will never forgive Disney for making attractive lesbians the most boring thing on earth. The last episode,
BLA, brother, boring lesbian action.
I agree with Lord. The last episode was the best episode, and it should have happened way earlier. But as soon as the show was done, I texted Marvin and said, "What was the point of any of this?" Because
None.
I don't actually know what the show was about, other than it was Billy After Long, and Agatha had nothing to do with anything. She's incidental to the show. So I will just out of having enjoyed most of the last episode, maybe a 1.5, because I feel dirty giving it a 2.
All right, 1.5 is in the books. Nolan, your go.
I guess I owe Leslie Headland an apology, because apparently this wasn't the worst show of the year.
So does Harvey.
Is continuing from that. This was awful. Like, I mean, everybody watching this pretty much knows it's bad. But, I mean, this is almost insultingly bad. Like, the directing is atrocious. The acting is bad. The script is horrible. The editing is a monstrosity. I have no idea how this is a professional thing. It's hard to follow. The pacing is garbage. As Lauren was saying earlier, I agree. I was actually thinking the same thing during the episode. Like, what if this was flipped to the first episode? Like, you get so much more tension with it. I know we weren't talking as much about some of the effects during that fight scene, but I don't like how, like, they're trying to convey crazy people for entertainment, like, not to insult anybody, but they're supposed to be, wild, zany characters. And there's a way you can thread the needle with that beautifully. Look at Bellatrix in Harry Potter. She was like very unsettling, but she had a lot of fun and snare to her. The people in this come off as annoying. When they're doing their super poses, they look more like they're constipated. Like, they're even the things that are supposed to be cool are just so poorly executed. I don't think I've ever seen a show of this budget in my life to where it fails in almost every measure. I have to give a special blame at the director. I hope this is an early venture for them, because I think there's a lot of improvement to be made. I feel like people with a much smaller budget could have made a more intriguing story and a much better and easy to follow movie. And I would like my characters to not look like they all came off of Gary's Mod, the way they're acting. Like, it's bad. I would. Have we done the scores yet? Have we done the scores? Have we done the scores yet?
0 to 10. It's up to you, man. Give it a score.
Okay. This episode 0. Like, you shouldn't end your series with, and this is another problem I have with direction. You end on such a down note where you're finding out the backstory about her kid. Like, I don't want to be at the end of my Marvel show, like, thinking about this kind of stuff. Like, this is something you put in the middle or at the beginning to hook people. This is depressing, and people need a pick-me-up after this to just put themselves in a better mood. This is one of the worst Marvel things I've ever seen in my life, and I hope it just becomes irrelevant, or at least a warning to never let this happen again. 0.
No, this is like if in the original Toy Story, the movie ended with Buzz laying on that hardwood floor while it played "I Will Go Sailing No More." That's the kind
exactly.
of Nolan. If you had to give the entire series a score, though, what would you give it?
I would give it a 1, because as someone who is really interested in a lot of different philosophies out there, real world philosophies, I think this they're literally going back in history in different time periods and making the past lame. Like, they're doing everything they can to make the concept of witches lame. Like, this is disgusting to people who follow that, to people who don't follow that, and all these bunches of different groups that the show is trying to represent, whether it's in the background or from the foreground or metaphorical. It's an insult to everybody. It's garbage, this whole show.
Well, I can't disagree with you, and we don't know what the response is going to be from people who believe in witchcraft and all that sort of thing. It'll be interesting to see what their response is. But Lauren, in lieu of that, we've got you. What say you, Lauren?
Do you guys remember my rant?
More Charmin bears. More.
Could you
more
repeat it?
wiping analogies? He's got it. He's got it. And it's 2-ply. He spit big.
I mean, it takes a lot of effort to get to the end sometimes. You know,
I
sometimes
think
you
he
just
gave
need some
you
relief.
I think he just gave you a hyper hygienic 0 for the series. 0 from Lorne in TP form. All right, well, Lorne, here's what I'll say. The series is painful to watch. There's no reason to ever watch it again. There's no redeeming value to the show. But it's not the worst thing I've ever watched. There are worse things. I sat through Rainbow Bride and the Star Stealer. That was worse. I can imagine watching Garbage Pail Kids in reverse. That would be worse. This is bad. I'm going to give it a 0.75. I know I'm going to get in trouble for going into that kind of detail, but I mean, we're down at the fringe levels of bad. Marvin, your score, and then we'll get Jonas as our final pick-me-up. Marvin, go ahead.
In the Buffy the Vampire Slayer musical, there is a song, and it starts out, and it goes, Giles goes, I have a theory that it's a demon, a dancing demon. No, something isn't right there. And then Willow goes, I've got a theory. Some kid is dreaming, and we're all stuck inside his wacky Broadway nightmare. And then it ends with Buffy going, I have a feeling it doesn't matter. That was my journey through this show. It was literally that. It might be Mephisto or some demon. Oh, wait, no, it's just some kid's wacky Broadway nightmare. Oh, wait, none of this matters. It's pointless. Why did I do this to myself by actually watching this show? It is a failure on every conceivable level. It dispelled the rumor that Catherine Hahn can act for me. I mean, look, I love her in Parks and Recreation when she played Jennifer Barkley. That's a fantastic role. It ruined Aubrey Plaza for me. It just made me be like and to just the little stupid things, like he shows up in his comic book costume. I'm like, okay, Wiccan chose that costume to model himself after Thor because they were forming a young Avengers team. Where did he come up with this costume in this regard?
That's what I asked. That's what I asked at the beginning of the show. Where did the freaking costume come from?
It was like what Spencer said about the Nolan. Why do I do that all the time?
Why?
Trish is dying somewhere.
I constantly call Spencer Nolan and Nolan Spencer. I'm sorry. What Nolan said about the editing, 100% accurate.
Go ahead, Wilton.
100% accurate. I give the entire series a 0.5 as well.
All right, 0.5, and that brings us to Jonas.
Mm-hmm.
Jonas, it's on you. What say you for the gayest Marvel series ever?
My bet is he gives it a 7.
I mean, only if I decided that we were going to be the next IGN. I'm going to give...
That was well played.
The second to last episode, I'm going to give a thumbs down. The last episode, I'll give a thumbs up. In the entire series, I am giving the lowest thumbs down that I could possibly give it. Acolyte was worse. I don't know. I feel like I need to go back and
dread on Lauren's face as you say Acolyte was worse.
Oh, Acolyte was much worse. Acolyte was directly addressed the fans and ridiculed the fans.
To terror now.
Are you serious? Is Acolyte really worse than this?
Acolyte,
Yeah.
I believe, was intended to be offensive to the fans. I think Agatha at least was trying to cater to an audience that at least it was a different audience. I think the Acolyte was actively offensive to Star Wars.
Goth wine.
The Acolyte was a gauntlet that was thrown down by the Fempire, being like, I dare you to come at us.
Right. But you guys at the start of this were all saying that Agatha was much worse. I was starting to feel pretty good about the Acolyte coming up. Don't you?
I still think this is worse.
Oh
than
wait,
Acolyte.
I've forgotten that you haven't seen the Acolyte yet, Lauren.
Yeah, that's
I
the
haven't.
charity stream coming up next month.
So this is another show that is way down on the list. If I were to give it a numerical score, it would be an abysmally low score. This is in that the Marvels kind of level of incomplete, except that the Marvels had jokes.
Jonas, if I give it a 1 on your behalf, will you? Is that okay?
It's a little high, but okay.
All right, 0.75. You land where I am. That okay?
I'm fine with that. I'm not going to fight you.
Okay, 0.75. Carry the 3 plus the X. Oh my lord, this is going to be bad, guys. This might be the lowest score we've ever given for a series. Wow. Okay, here we go. The final score, folks. Let's see. That's going to be okay. We're not going to go into decimals. So we have right here final review score for Agatha All Along, 0.9 out of 10. This is a 0.9 out of 10 for the entire series. Let it be said that X-Men 97, we gave that an 8.7 for the entire series. We are not here to just bash stuff for the fun of it. This is legit. We honestly believe that this show deserves this kind of a score, and it will be very difficult for any show in the future to ever beat this. I don't want to challenge Marvel or Disney, but I think it would be incredibly difficult for a show to manage to come in under this.
Ironheart's coming up, right, bro?
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing that Marvin's saying. Ironheart is next year.
Yeah, Ironheart's coming out.
Oh, heaven help us. Heaven help us. All right, Jonas, help us with super chats, please. I'm not
all righty. Ryan Matheson for 199. I feel like I just got comic book hero femsplained. Yeah. Yeah. I'll also point out that this is the first time in the MCU that they've replaced a female character with a gay male character, because you now have a gay boy version of the Scarlet Witch. So
I almost felt like I was watching college swimming.
The Dead Man for 199. Have a grateful Halloween, everyone. Well, the same to you, Dead Man. And I appreciate your avatar's connection to what you've said here. Maybe get some Cherry Garcia. Regina Sharp. What was that?
Power to the 199.
Regina Sharp for $5. Swerve, bro. That was for Marvin and Kevin.
Bro, it was a swerve, bro.
And let's see here. I'm reminded that N7 is coming up sometime soon. JPS for $2. That was bad, and everyone at Disney should feel bad.
They should, even down to the custodians on this one. And usually we take it easy on the custodians, but not this time. Anybody associated, even by osmosis, feel bad tonight.
I end up thinking that the Salem 7 got out easy. Too Tired for $5. Western writing is pretty much dead. Morabito handled the concept of saving a single life better. It is far easier to end a life than it is to save one.
That's right.
You know what's funny is there's actually a great line in Echo. They're making fun of the line, but they say that men are life takers and women are life givers. Now they're trying to play that for contrast, but it's actually one of the more based lines in the MCU. That handled that concept a little bit better. But
hey, Jonas, just to go back to that Salem 7 thing, just think about how stupid this show is for a minute. I mean, I know we just gave it a 0.9 out of 10, but still, the poor Salem 7, they died being sucked into some sort of fake reality in the mind of a teenager, and that's how they go out. And they got less screen time than the Knights of Ren.
Right. Talk
about being mistreated.
I'm also hearing that there was only 5 in that scene of the Salem 7. So I think
the other 2 were stopped at Dunkin' Donuts. There's, you can't be everywhere every time.
The remainder are known as Westview 2.
Westview 2.
I was just thinking that if we ever get any deleted scenes from this, it would be cool to see a deleted scene where Billy actually stops by Spirit Halloween to get the Wiccan costume.
That would
because that would make sense.
That should have been the end credits.
I do like that that one neighbor was just standing outside being like, what's going on, when they return to Westview.
Again. Yeah, that was my favorite part where the one guy was like, "Is this happening again?"
But this time it's green. Samuel Maine for $5. Was Agatha comic this bad? I don't think Agatha ever had a comic book herself. She was an Avengers side character.
Yeah, they rebooted her to make her like Catherine Hahn gave her a terrible book.
Oh dear. And now she has gray hair in the MCU for some reason. I don't know why they decided to give her gray hair. So, Sutton Creek Productions, member for 11. Should the costumes have come from Value Village?
At least that white wig did.
Yeah, and she looks even weirder as a ghost.
She was supposed to. They were going for the Gandalf thing, right? She's Agatha the White now.
I return to you at the turning of the tides.
I mean, when it comes down to it, this is probably the whitest show that Marvel has ever done. Neo for £2. Happy All Hallows Eve. It is All Hallows Eve over there, isn't it? Because
That's
it's still,
right.
Over here, it's not quite that.
In North America, the East Coast will be hitting Halloween in about 26 minutes. And then the other time zones will be joining in. Get your pumpkins ready, folks. Make sure you have candy. And as we said on the Pro Show, how dare you even consider giving out floss? Don't do it. Give the kids what they want. They want sugar. Don't worry about the diabetes. It doesn't happen on Halloween. It's like Thanksgiving. Calories don't count. Diabetes. All right, Jonas, are you going to stick around or do you have to go?
Well, I got to get out of
Rogan.
here. I have got a early morning live stream at 8 a.m. tomorrow. I'll be over on the Valiant Renegade channel. We're going to be checking out what's going on over at Comcast. Those are usually a little bit more grown up than the Disney ones. They're not trying to sprinkle pixie dust all over your eyes.
Oh, wait a minute, Jonas. This is a PG rated show. How dare you, sir? I know.
All right, well,
bad, but you don't have to go that far, sir.
I think I'm going to leave in shame now. So thank you, everyone, for having me on the show.
Can I ask Jonas before you go? When
Can I borrow that roll that you had earlier?
Absolutely, it's right here.
Got it in his hand. Ready.
If they do that, did they tell you that it was raining?
That is what they do at Disney. It literally is what they do at Disney. The 4.3 million that they said that they got on episode 7, they had to admit that they didn't get that many views on episode 1 in order to admit that. So Disney is a broken company through and through, and they would rather lie when the truth would sound better. So,
well, Jonas, we're going to let you go because you've got an early live stream, and we don't want you to be a broken man when it happens. 8 a.m. Eastern, folks, tune in to Renegade Online on the Valiant Renegade Show. And which earning call is this, Jonas?
Comcast. And then at 11 a.m. we'll get episode 2 of Morning Magic with That Park Place, leading right up to the Pro Show.
I hope that the earnings call has some information about, a little theme park somewhere in this world that maybe you guys will have some stories about.
I'm hoping. By the way, I'm going to need you to get me some tickets to Epic, so we'll talk about that later. Thank you, everybody. Have a good one. Enjoy. I know there's one more story coming, and I wish I could stay for it.
There you go. All right, folks, it's time to go to our next story, and that is the Joe Rogan Experience. We've been covering this, and it's not because we want to get into politics or partisanship. It has to do with the fact that we're very interested in the evolution of entertainment and where it's going. I believe, based on what we've been watching, that podcasts and YouTube and perhaps the green machine, if you know what I mean, I think that the democratization across these platforms, including, by the way, X, I believe this is the future of entertainment. I think that the stranglehold that corporations have held on the market is beginning to go away. They simply cannot stop the market from winning with the internet. And take a look at this. We talked about the situation earlier where all of a sudden, this Joe Rogan episode that I had said would be the biggest Joe Rogan episode ever for about 24 hours, it was very, very difficult to find. That has been alleviated. But I had said as a result that it now was unlikely that this would reach the heights that it could have had. And yet, something is happening. And that thing that's happening is, despite what would and should be happening with the algorithm when it comes to bringing back a video from the dead, well, this one is soaring in spite. And what do we mean by that? Well, in 4 days, it's reached 41 million views. Now, we've looked before at the top Joe Rogan Experience episodes on YouTube, and we know that 69 million is what it would have to beat. At its current pace, and even despite one of these days having been one of those you can't find it days for some reason we can't understand, if it keeps on this track, then certainly within 2 weeks, it should become the biggest Joe Rogan episode ever. And that's really saying something for a video that's had this kind of a situation, and a video, by the way, that will beat the records in 2 weeks as opposed to the years that some of these others take to do so. Now, keeping things, again, completely away from politics whatsoever, take a look at this out of New York Post. Joe Rogan to interview, man, this is all kinds of weird. Joe Rogan to interview J.D. Vance after Kamala Harris refused to meet him in Austin studio. This is by Emily Crane. Here's what it says. Joe Rogan is slated to interview former President Trump's running mate, J.D. Vance, on Wednesday. That's yesterday, essentially now, after their opponent, Vice President Kamala Harris, has so far missed out by refusing to meet the mega popular podcaster in his Texas studio. The Republican vice presidential nominee is scheduled to meet with Rogan in his studio in Austin on Wednesday morning, days after Trump's appearance on the Joe Rogan Experience exploded online, with well over 39 million views on YouTube, despite accusations it was being hidden. Vance's appearance comes after Rogan revealed he turned down a similar chat with Harris after the Democratic presidential nominee wanted him to travel to her and for their chat to last just a third of the 3 hours he had with Trump. Now, guys, I'm not here to send us into a political discussion, but rather I'd like to have a philosophical discussion with the panel. What I'd like to ask you guys is, I love that Donald Trump was part of a conversation with Joe Rogan for 3 hours. It gave insights into someone that people have the potential to vote for. I love that J.D. Vance is going to do the same. I love that this is getting monumental viewership because that's engagement with the electorate. What I would like to see, and I hope to see, because I'm not trying to be partisan here, I hope that Harris, despite the fact that we're now running out of time rapidly, I hope that Harris will go on the Joe Rogan Experience for 2 hours or 3 hours or whatever. I hope that Waltz will go on the Joe Rogan Experience. And by the way, I hope that in the future this becomes the norm. I hope that we will see in the future podcasts take over and that we have normal, long format, reasonable, rational conversations, human conversations between those who wish to govern us and those who are great at communicating with us, and that we get away from the formats of the legacy dinosaur media where we force people into these very synthetic 8-minute kind of time frames. All the questions seem to be formulated in order to maximize ratings. And the real way to maximize ratings is to sit down and just talk. And I love it. I want to see more of it. Guys, what do you think? Are we headed in that direction? Do you think that this whole situation with Joe Rogan might be the turning point in the way that we handle elections going forward?
I think that it's interesting that this is happening when Bezos essentially tells the rest of the media, hey guys, if you haven't been paying attention for the last batch of years, anytime the public gets polled, corporate media is only slightly less hated than Congress. Now it is more hated than Congress. Really since 2004, the media has been very open about playing sides. And I think as a regular person who's trying to get information, we have all been raised and taught that the media is unbiased, and we want the ability to think for ourselves, not be told how to think or be told that what we're thinking is wrong. And I think people have gotten frustrated. And with 2016, we started seeing the rise of the podcaster. I think during the beer bug, I think legacy media saw for themselves the power of alternative media in terms of, sorting out, being able to look for information from different sources that you could vet yourself, which is why I believe YouTube made a lot of the changes it made, was to kind of throttle that power that you guys like you were never supposed to have. And now people are fully aware. I have the ability to choose my media. I can pick people that I trust to give me the information that I want, not not based off of my ideology, but because it's information I feel I need to have to make an informed decision. And hopefully this is the trend. If legacy media chooses to learn from it, who knows? FDR did a horrible thing when he used the muckrakers to get rid of his opponents, not clean up the quality of news. And those chickens, although it took a very long time, they came home to roost.
It's a very, very long time. And I would say, guys, that I'm always trying to be optimistic, but I see two paths going forward. Either there's going to be a crackdown from the oligarchs to shut down the free discourse that we're seeing, or we're going to get maximal conversations and communications between people at every level of society. I hope for the latter. Guys, is there any reason I should not be hopeful right now? Do you see any kind of reason to perhaps think that this could go the other way?
Well, I think that the main reason that I would say would be to not be hopeful would be because the legacy news media is not going down without a fight, and it's not going to learn the lesson of competition the way it's supposed to and get better and become more middle of the road, as you like to say, sensible center, mainstream middle. It's just going to try and silence the voices that are rising up to stop them, which is like what you kind of saw here with Joe Rogan. Now, as far as her going on Joe Rogan's show, I definitely think she should. I don't think she will. I think a guy like Joe Rogan, I think it's a fascinating thing to have the same show interview both presidential candidates. And a guy like Rogan, he's not going to play the favorites game. He'll ask tough but fair questions to both, and you'll be able to get a lot more out of that than you would get from her being on the Late Show with Stephen Colbert for 10 minutes. Sitting down with a guy like Joe Rogan for 3 hours, that's something that can actually sway some voters. Going out on Stephen Colbert and telling a couple jokes is not going to do it while he lobs you softball questions. Going on Joe Rogan, sitting down for 3 hours and having an in-depth discussion on policy, that's a way for voters to actually get to know a candidate. And, it should be in a fair world, a no-brainer for any candidate to want to do that.
Lauren, to a huge audience now, I mean, we're talking about hundreds of thousands of people. You've expressed why you would like to see us go back to the Lincoln-style debates. Could you explain that one more time for folks who might not have heard it before?
So I agree with your position that the long format interview with Joe Rogan is a good thing, and I think that it would be better for the Republic if going forward candidates did something like this. But it's also important to have debates that are also long form, and I would argue probably without a moderator, because what you want to see is not a bunch of rules getting in the way about what we can talk about, how long we can talk about it, and all of that stuff. I'm very annoyed by the idea that we have something like 3 minutes for a response to a question, 2 minutes for a response, and then 1 minute for a rebuttal. What you want to see out of your candidates is them talking about their positions, showing how they arrived at them, and seeing whether they can think on their feet to justify their positions and to articulate what their vision is, and see when they're challenged how they react to it. Because part of this whole deal is you're going to be dealing with adversaries on the world stage. And if you see somebody having to deal with an adversarial position where you don't have a moderator there to rescue you, that tells you maybe how they're going to react on our behalf. And it's important to remember that that is on our behalf. Are you going to get flustered? Are you going to be able to articulate and put your vision forward and hopefully destroy your opponent's position? That's something that you only get through vigorous debate, and it informs the public. And I think that that's something that we're lacking right now. So I do like the long form, but I would like to see more rigorous debates in place. Rigorous in the sense that you're actually challenging the candidates without having a middleman moderator there. That's what I think would be most useful.
Ron, Nolan, guys, it seems to me that part of this story has to be that X stepped in, that Elon Musk somehow, and I don't know how he did it because I don't know how the contract works with Rogan and Spotify and YouTube, but Musk stepped in and hosted the entire episode. And that kind of put the kibosh on any efforts to stop this thing. And I don't know that there was ever any effort. Legitimately, it could be a glitch. We just don't know. But I think that Elon Musk really has stepped in and made it such that if you try to stop, if you try to shadow ban, if you try to diminish a point of view, he's there to be the Streisand effect in Spain.
He wants to get free speech out there, and I think that's one of the greatest things about that's one of the biggest points that Elon has made, is that, and it's kind of ironic that he's the one making the point when you have a particular side of the aisle specifically saying that if this other side gets in power, they're going to destroy democracy, they're going to eliminate democracy, and yet this side is going on Joe Rogan, right? They're talking to Joe for 3. I think that, there's a lot of people who might not be that much tuned in to politics. They like my wife, she hates watching political stuff on television, but she might actually watch Joe Rogan in a podcast format because it's a very different type of a format, and you get the opportunity to show the world who you are. So all of these negative things that people are saying about you, you're either going to prove these people right, or you're going to show the world that these people have been lying about you. Kamala could give herself that chance. Kamala could go on Joe Rogan, and if anything that the right has been saying about her is wrong, she's going to prove them wrong by being whoever it is that she is. So my question is, if that's exactly what would happen, and I think it would, if they were wrong, are they wrong if she's choosing to not go? I mean, that's you see that out there, and so why is she so afraid to just sit down and have a conversation? It's 3 hours long. We do this all the time. We sit down and we have these 3 hour long conversations. People watch. I think people watch because this format is real. I was talking to somebody about this the other day, and they said, you know what, I just want to see real people. A lot of us are here. I'm here because I was engaged with you in chat prior to this, and it's a format where we actually feel like we have real democracy going on, real free speech going on, real exchange of ideas. We might be able to even be swayed. It feels very open-minded because we learn so much from each other. And, Lauren often has the viewpoints that are different than the rest of the panel, and it's great to hear because it's like, oh yeah, I didn't even think of that, and that's wonderful. I love that when I hear something that I go, man, I didn't think of that idea before. And when you have formats like this, and even the long debates that Lauren was talking about, the long form debates where people can actually butt heads and exchange their ideas, as a viewer, you kind of get, okay, this is great because I'm learning something I didn't know before. And that's the whole point. To have an electorate that actually is more educated about who these candidates are, what they stand for, what their policies are, and where I'm going to be. How am I going to be affected by this man or woman who gets into power? I want to know that at the end of the day. And this type of format helps a lot more. To Marvin's point, like what he said, it helps me a lot more than somebody going on a late night show for 10 minutes.
Which is why, by the way, it could be a threat to the intelligentsia. Nolan, I'm going to give you the final word on this. Take it and run.
I think that was beautifully said by Ron. And to follow that up, I think it comes from a major drive that all of us have, no matter what age. We can go all old man on the rocking chair mode and be like, these kids today, all they care about are their apps on their newfangled phones. At the end of the day, no matter how much of a loner you are, or sad or happy of a place you're at, we all have this deep drive for human connection. We all want it, whether we want to admit it or not. And when you have these kind of shows like the Pro Show here or the Joe Rogan Experience, you get more quality time because it's natural. The more hours you spend with someone, the more you truly learn about them. It's not like those artificial puff pieces by the news outlets or the 5 minutes you can see of a YouTuber putting on his best show forward. You get authenticness, and the people are going to go wherever they can find that. And to bring it back, Pro, to your original philosophical question, I remember seeing here recently, and it's really hard to find what is fact and fiction, especially in this kind of season of the year. But I thought I had seen something, and it was comparing what organizations had funded certain candidates. To not go too deep in the weeds with that, the mother of the site we're residing on right now, put some money towards one side of the aisle. And I think if I'm in their position, if they decide they want to crack down and go towards the legacy news media, where they want things to be more on the traditional news sense, where things are very artificial, you're only going to see people for a very short amount of time, they are going to flock to that of an Elon Musk or someone else in a very powerful position who's going to vouch for free speech, because one way or another, people are going to do that. And I feel like if this company decides to get away from that, they could sign their own death sentence. And we know that their competition is getting more and more powerful every day. So I would really hope that they will learn from the past and keep the free speech or something really close to it in these kind of shows on their platform.
That's right. And when you have the opportunity to have something do like 80, 90, 100 million views in a week or 2 weeks, let it roll. That's what I say. Let it roll and let human conversations from every aisle, from every point of view, let them roll. I get there have to be parameters somewhere, but generally, as a rule, more conversation is better, because more conversation not only lets those who can elucidate a great idea do so, but it also puts those with really, really bad ideas in the light. And you want them in the light so you know exactly who they are, what they believe, and why you should stay away from it. Someone that you should never stay away from is Sutton Creek Productions. Dropping in $5 Canadian. Trying to control people is like holding a brick of butter. The more you squeeze, the more it slips through your fingers. Yes, Sutton Creek Productions, I totally agree. But keep up those butter statue carving contests. Even if they melt, they're more beautiful than ice because, well, butter is edible and ice is just water in a different form. All right, folks, we've got one more story, if that's okay with the panel, because it's just too juicy. And look at this. Look at this. I said something about butter, and then I said juicy. That's anyway. HI, we think that's a White Dragon Star for 5. The same advisor who told Kamala to not go on Rogan was probably the same one who told her to skip the Al Smith dinner. Yeah, that didn't go well. Not a good idea, even with Molly by her side. All right, folks, here is the story we have, and it is a big one when it comes to Disney World. Here we go. Take a look at this. Out of That Park Place, your very favoritist website. If you're not yet bookmarked, consider doing so. And look, folks, it's by little old me. It says Disney World single day with Lightning Lane premiere costs $2,000 for family of 4. Get ready. Hang on to your wallets, magic lovers of all ages. Walt Disney World has implemented the Lightning Lane Premier Pass for their 4 theme parks, but the costs could cause you to faint. Not so long ago, going to Walt Disney World Resort meant that part of your base experience included the ability to skip lines for major attractions. It was a novel idea called Fast Pass. The system allowed guests to insert their ticket into a machine at the entrance of the ride. As a result, a piece of paper would print out with a time for the guest to return later in the day for an experience without any wait. Of course, the ticket was returned as well. Once the guests enjoyed the attraction, they would be able to get another Fast Pass for another attraction. There were variances of this as time went on, but one of the great value adds at Disney was the ability to use the Fast Pass system to enjoy more attractions than most families would have otherwise. After the pandemic, however, things have changed. A nearly identical system called Lightning Lane Premier Pass is here, and this one is going to cost you. Launching on October 30th, we now have the prices for a lesser crowded kind of day. Let's just say it's going to set you back a few. Guests purchasing the Lightning Lane Premier Pass get the ability of using a line-skipping Lightning Lane. Yes, Fast Pass is still trademarked by Disney and sounds better. One time on nearly every attraction. But even before guests can purchase the Lightning Lane Premier Pass, they're first required to stay at a deluxe resort. Those are hotels at Disney World like Grand Floridian, Contemporary, Polynesian, and the Animal Kingdom Lodge. In other words, the think expensive. These hotel rooms average about $700 per night. Once you've spent $700 per night, plus purchased your resort tickets, now you can finally buy those beautiful Lightning Lane Premier Passes. And how much do they cost? Well, for October 30th, Magic Kingdom was $329 per pass for a day, Epcot $169, Hollywood Studios $269, and Animal Kingdom $129. For a family of four, that is $1,316 before taxes. Add in the hotel, you're at $2,000 plus. And that is not even including the cost of the tickets themselves to get into the park. It's not including food. It's not including souvenirs. And you know what? One of the most fascinating things is that Disney Food Blog, and folks, we're not going to play the video, but it's in that Park Place in the article if you want to watch it. Disney Food Blog tested this at a time when there was no standby line hardly whatsoever. They waited 8 minutes in the lightning lane pass lane, the little, line for those who were trying to skip a line that didn't exist, and they paid hundreds of dollars to essentially have a longer line. Ron, I'm going to go to you first because you're there at Disney every day checking this out. Tell us your thought on this, on Lightning Lane and the Premier Pass and the just insane cost of this.
Look, if you're a Disney fan and you're rich and you're not that bright with money, then it's great for you. The funniest thing to me about this system with Disney is Disney parks are not known for being ride centric, right? You don't necessarily go I don't even understand when I go to a Disney park, even before I lived here, you come here, sure, you want to get in rides on vacation. You used to come down and you pick your favorites. You want to go to those, you want to get the fast passes for the others, and you might get in 5-6 ride attractions a day, but you also want to balance it with shows, and you want to balance it with the ambiance that is Disney. You walk in the gates of the Magic Kingdom and everything opens up to you, and you look down Main Street and you see that castle. And that's supposed to be the magic of Disney. This is sucking out everything that is the magic of Disney because, first of all, it's putting an emphasis on something that Disney himself didn't want emphasized. It wasn't about the thrill of thrill rides. It was about experiencing things together as a family. His whole concept, Walt's whole concept, was that he was sitting there watching his girls on the merry-go-round and thinking, wouldn't it be great if I could build a whole park where entire families of 3 or 4 generations at a time could enjoy attractions together? And this is weird. It's just so convoluted. I understand they're trying to compete with Universal, but that doesn't make sense either because now you actually have people paying. Check this out. You have people paying up to $450 per person per day for this Lightning Lane experience. And guess what? They're getting in Lightning Lanes with people who paid far less for that same privilege. You have to understand that they're not going in their own lane and going straight to the front. They're getting in a Lightning Lane with hundreds of other people that paid for a lower tier version of Lightning Lane, maybe $39 for the day for their entire family. And the only difference is those people, they could still get in every ride just like these people, but they have to pick them throughout the day. It's very strange. It's a really, really strange the way they've set this system up. And it's not even available to everybody. It's only available to the people who are already paying through the nose to get to Disney. Anyway, I'm assuming they said, well, look, these are the people who are paying the most. These must be our biggest fans because they're staying in the deluxe resort. So let's allow them the privilege of spending the most money since that's what they're doing anyway. I don't know. The whole thing is very strange. But, do they even get an extra ticket to the cake bake shop? Do they get a free slice of $25 cake? I don't know.
They should. Kevin, are you going to spend $2,000 on a service that was previously free just a few years ago?
Absolutely not. Listen, we talked about it last week. I work in the attractions industry. I used to work for WonderWorks. My family was doxxed by the DNC years ago, so I'm very easy to find on the internet.
We said before, folks, if you don't know Kevin's origin story, he works on gravitrons, those carny killing devices.
The lesson is you're supposed to quality of experience can justify a slightly higher price point because you're paying a premium for service and for fun, and it's on top of the expense of bringing your family to Disney being soul crushing, just absolutely soul crushing, and then feeding your family, and then needing a place to sleep. Now you're paying extra to get online, that a line that isn't going to move fast, and there are people who paid way less than you. I don't understand what the end game here is. Disney, and it has earned its ability to be king of the castle. The Walt set a great many an example that people follow to this day, except for people who work at Disney. I don't know what happened, but
they're the anti-Waltz.
Yeah.
And on that note, I want to go to Lauren, because Lauren, they might have the castle, but they're about to not have the only castle. Super Nintendo World is coming, Epic Universe is coming, Princess Peach and all of that. Lauren, you were at Universal Studios in the not so distant past. You got a gander at it. And I just wonder, do you think that Universal is ready to sort of take the lead if Disney goes too far? And it appears to me they are with this pricing.
Absolutely. The last time I went to Disneyland, I'm on the West Coast, was I think 2014. And back then, I could afford it, but it was something I had to plan for. I couldn't even begin to think about going there now. Meanwhile, I went to Universal last year and spent roughly what I spent to Disneyland, what is it? I guess 9 years later. And I had a great time. And most of the talent that was involved in creating the animatronics and the experiences and things, they've lost them at Disneyland. They're now working for Universal. That's why the Epic Universe thing is going to be such a big deal. Did you see the animatronic reveals for the monsters yesterday?
It's awesome.
I mean, that's the kind of thing that Disney used to do, and they're incapable of doing now. So, yeah, I think Disney still makes money, but their attendance is down. Their greed is sky high. And if they continue to not be able to maintain what they have in the parks, that's a real warning sign, because once that talent is lost, it is very difficult to get it back. And the only way that you get that level of experience is through experience. And if you're having a smaller workforce to try and deal with that leads to burnout. So it becomes kind of a non-virtuous cycle where everything starts to fall apart and burn down. And before you know it, you're already seeing the standards slip, especially with cleanliness in the parks. Once you start being seen as seedy, your reputation is lost.
Just ask Six Flags. Now, speaking of falling apart and burning down, Lauren, we know we're about to say sayonara for now to you. You've got to go. And of course, the show's just going to fall apart without you. But Lauren, as the man on the thumbnail this time, tell the folks out there where they can find you beyond just the artwork of this channel.
You can find me at Lauren Connor on X or Lauren Connor 9030 on YouTube. I show up on the Genre Guys videos, either on WDW Pro's channel or on our T3PO channel when they get released there. And I'm often on these live streams, so there's lots of places you can find me.
All right. Well, folks, check out Lauren Connor. He does a fantastic job at everything he does. A true genius when it comes to Star Wars, Indiana Jones, and entertainment analysis. Lauren, until next time, farewell and do well. We'll see you soon.
Have a great night, everybody. Take care.
See you, Lauren.
All right, Nolan, Marvin, you guys ready to cough up $2,000 to get to skip about 9 rides a day? You want to do it? We should.
Dude, I'm already in debt with my Epic Universe tickets I got. I ain't got this money, bro.
He's going to Epic Universe. He's got value when he goes to Epic Universe. He's getting all the stuff he wants for those ticket prices that are. What would it be in comparison to $2,000 for a family of 4? What's the percentage of the cost for an Epic Universe pass, Marvin? Can you do the math real quick? I've asked you to do math before.
It's never pretty. I'm not 100% sure on the actual prices for Epic Universe at the moment. I have not looked into the actual dollars and cents, but I mean, you want to look at value and perceived value. Here's the thing. There is this myth, Pro, that Fast Pass was always free. It was not free. It was baked into the price of your ticket. It was part of the value for what you pay for. Same with Magical Express, the free airport shuttle from Orlando Airport. That was baked into your stay. The price of that was factored in to your night at a Disney resort. They have taken these things away and other things as well and raise the prices. And now they're like, we can now charge you for that thing that used to be included in what you do. They have lowered the value of a Disney ticket so much that you used to always justify the expense of a Disney vacation back in the day because you'd say to yourself, well, you know what? Magic comes at a price, or whatever you wanted to say. At the end of the day now, you're like, what am I paying for? What am I doing? This is just it's not a fun experience anymore. It's not what it used to be. And because of that, because now we're not even we're not marketing to families anymore. We're marketing to I guess the term is dinks, dual income, no kids. And that's exactly what Walt Disney World is now. And they're just charging you for things that they used to give you. And it's going to take people waking up and realizing that for any actual change to occur.
Well, guys, we have covered the gamut of Disney gone rogue. We've talked about Rachel Zegler. We've done the Agatha review. By the way, folks, 0.9 out of 10 for it. Really, really good stuff, clearly. We've talked about the insane cost now of going to Disney World. And we had a conversation about Joe Rogan, which has nothing to do with any of the rest of it. But by golly, it was fun. And Ron and Kevin and everybody else did a fantastic job of discussing it. Guys, I'd like to end the show on sort of a funny story, if that's okay. We're not going to do a full-blown thing. Just something humorous. Really, really funny stuff. Here we go. All right, it's out of Engadget. Here's what it says. By Sarah Fielding. A fired Disney employee allegedly altered menus to change allergy markers. Food that did contain peanuts was said to be peanut-free. All right, hang on. This is a serious, article, and it's a serious title. There's going to be a part when we get to the end that's going to be, you're going to know exactly the kind of person we're talking about. Here we go. As someone allergic to a big sect of food, this is talking about the author, gluten, I know how important accurate allergy markers are on a menu. Yet a new criminal complaint alleges that a former Disney World employee intentionally altered a menu's allergy information to state foods did not contain peanuts that in fact did. 404 Media and Court Watch reported in collaboration. The complaint alleges that Michael Schuer was fired by Disney and then, after being fired, used still viable passwords to access a third-party created proprietary menu creation and inventory system. In other words, he was a begrudging, grizzled, angry, disgruntled and puzzled kind of former employee. Over the course of his misdoings, he allegedly changed the allergy information along with adding profanity, altering prices, and changing the font to wingdings. Those wingdings were what initially tipped off employees. Darn it, it's always the wingdings that get you. That and the, what's the name of the bandits in Home Alone? The Wet Bandits? Yeah, he shouldn't have left the Wet Bandits calling card. All menus in the database were deemed unusable, and the application went offline for 1 to 2 weeks to fix the issues. And if this were any other company than Disney, this would be the end of the story, folks. But, well, it's Disney, so let's keep going. Disney changed the passwords, but then Schuer allegedly broke into multiple of the third-party companies' FTPs to change the allergy markers and altered QR codes from directing to a menu to a boycott a particular country in the Middle East website. Woo. Are we starting to smell the hair coloring products yet, guys? Do we sense the sight of shrapnel in the face? He also tried to break into Disney employees' accounts nearly 8,000 times because, well, he had nothing else to do. He'd already polished his lava lamps, burped his Tupperware, and so why not? Disney claims that the altered menus were identified before being shipped out to restaurants. And then the coup de grace is that after Disney has suffered this psychopath now, allegedly, over and over, the end of the article says, this case is unrelated to a doctor who died of an allergic reaction after eating at Disney Springs restaurant last year. Notably, Disney tried to get a lawsuit filed by the doctor's husband thrown out in August, alleging that he had agreed to settle lawsuits out of court through arbitration. The reason he had signed a term of service for a 1-month Disney Plus trial in 2019, and again when making an account to buy park tickets. So even when Disney is absolutely in the right and they're faced off with somebody who is clearly disturbed in every possible way, that darn legal theory they tried earlier in the year that everyone turned on them against them on, It's back in their face. They can't even get this as a win and be like, look, this guy, he's crazy. He's crazy, man. They can't get that because, well, Engadget doesn't forget, and neither do we. All right. I know this is a fun one to end on. Ron, you have been in and around this sort of thing. How did this happen? How could this possibly happen?
Hey, I'll be honest, I have no idea how this could have happened. It's not something I ever had access to where I could go in and change anything that was proprietary as far as Disney.
You're being very forceful in this. I worry. Have you ever went by the alias Mr. Sure before?
No, I have not.
I'm just checking to make sure you were very forceful in that denial.
I know.
Never had access to any of these systems, folks. Never, ever. Don't know what it is.
No, because I had access as a cast member. I had access to what they call the hub. Now I had access to things like where I was able to see some of the videos that James O'Keefe has put out, that were legitimate. I could see those as a cast member. The videos that they put out about the DEI stuff, and when they were saying they were so proud of being able to produce 50% queer content and all that, that was actually on the hub for all cast members to see. That was a public thing. This kind of thing is proprietary, and you have to have worked in IT to do that. However, the Disney IT department is horrible, and it's loaded with a lot of bad actors. They even a few years ago they fired all of their IT guys that were local and American citizens, and brought in a bunch of people from other countries, and had the people that they fired train the other people before they came in. So, I mean, they're obviously trying to save money. This is a budgetary issue, and they have got a lot of the wrong people in there because the IT sucks in the first place. And it's a little, I can see how funny it would be though, scrolling through the My Disney Experience app, and you click on allergy-friendly, gluten-free, hamburger buns, and all of a sudden boycott this country. What is that about?
And I have to translate it from wingdings to even figure it out. And when I do, it just brings up the wet bandits over and over. Oh, do they never learn? Do they never learn? I feel like I have to go to Marv now, and I feel like I have to call him Marv.
You can do that. You could do that if I can call you Harry.
Right.
But
I'll go with it. But you're the Harry one.
Yeah, that is true. But the Christmas season is almost upon us. But at the end of the day, this is a fun story in a lot of ways. That even when
because nobody actually that we know of was injured or damaged by
this.
But
when I think about the idea of someone trying to alter menus that will then give information that could kill someone, that person should be brought up on charges of attempted,
and not once
destruction
Marvin,
of a human being.
Being blocked the first time, continue to do so, and then made attempts 8,000 times. And Marvin, I don't know if you were okay with people knowing this about you, but you're the kind of fella, felt fella who, if you get your eggs and you ask for sunny side up and it's over easy, you consider that to be a real travesty of the day. So this is something on a whole different scale.
I see something like that, I see red. Like, I'm just like, I want this guy in jail because like that he attempted to kill people. That's period end. Like
he's
somebody
he's a
an allergy,
psychopath.
And a peanut allergy, especially, that is a death sentence. And Disney, the one thing like other than that one restaurant in Disney Springs, which was just is independently owned. The one thing I will always give Disney is when there's an allergy present in any of your in your party, they go out of their way to make sure that it's supposed to be one of the best places to go when you have those kinds of food sensitivities. So, I mean, man, oh man, you're so desperate to attack your former employer that you're going to risk people's lives over it.
Right. And folks, if you see a stranger in Magic Kingdom building real stockades in Liberty Square, you'll know it's Marvin, and you'll know who it's for. Kevin, Nolan, I'm going to give you guys an opportunity to weigh in on this crazy story. What do you make of it?
It sounds like the origins of a Batman villain. The way like a disgruntled worker hijacks the menu, like it's awful. Like Yes. Give it time.
The worst villain ever. It's the worst.
I don't know. Did you see Kid Crusader? We can do worse. Yeah, no, I'm all with what Marvin says. Like this, it's funny on face value, but it jeopardizes a lot of people. And allergies are a very serious issue. And I really hope that people learn from this, and especially with the headlines going around with, Disney, with the thing that happened last year. Remember that, hey, like if you are even just someone listening on the show, who works at a restaurant, if I know it can be frustrating sometimes, to remove the peanuts out of a salad or something like that, but just that few extra minute can literally change someone's world. The family that loves that person. So
absolutely,
I'm glad it's bringing awareness.
And Disney normally does go above and beyond to do this. I mean, I had situations where I've had chefs had to make entirely special meals that aren't even close to anything on the menu for my guests, and they did it. So I will say they normally do that.
And we appreciate it, and we give Disney accolades for it. Kevin, the bases are loaded. Bring us home, sir. What do you got?
All right. Well, this is one of those times where I can't jump on the dismal Disney, bandwagon. They're actually the victims here. I guess from an HR perspective, exit interviews can probably be beneficial here because
I have a
you
feeling
need to know.
Not only is this individual facing jail time, but I don't think he's getting a good reference to the next job.
Yeah, sometimes you just need to be sure if someone's going to try to live out an episode of Criminal Minds on your property. So it's great that they were able to catch this person. It's unfortunate that we are in a time where certain people feel entitled to rain misery down on someone else because they happen to have lost a job. But knock on wood, no one got hurt. We can take a little chuckle at it, and hopefully nothing like this ever happens again.
And with some confidence, we can say that we're fairly certain Disney made the right call in letting this cast member or employee go. Of course, folks, it's all allegations. We're reading the news and making assessments. We're not trying to impugn anyone who may or may not be innocent. Please do not assume that we have knowledge beyond what we have been able to analyze from the article given. And folks, it is a wrap for tonight. And thank goodness that we have a wrap on Agatha, not Acolyte. They all run together at this point.
Same thing.
Agony, just agony.
What are we going to do next? Well, we're going to do Arcane. So we're going to have the details coming out soon. But Arcane after parties are coming up. That's going to be on Netflix. And we're doing that because, thank goodness, we're going to have, we hope, a good show. And what will it be like when we actually have good things and exciting things to talk about? Well, we'll find out. Folks, we never leave a super chat behind. Let's get them up on the screen. Samuel Main for 5. I watched The Acolyte and give the show and all episodes a 1. The 2022 Acolyte Star Wars fan film a 2. Yeah, what guys, do you remember what we gave Acolyte? It was like a 1.3, 1.5, somewhere around there for the whole show.
Something around there, yeah.
It was bad. It was bad. And we thought it couldn't get worse. And then some of our peeps told us behind the scenes that this would be worse. And I said, no, it can't be. There's no way. So, well, we were proven wrong. Got a track record of excellence, but man, we didn't see this one coming. And Samuel Main for $2 says, did you get my last supper chat? Darn you iPhone, darn you Samsung. How dare you mess up Samuel's super chat? It's not a supper chat, it's a super chat because Samuel is super duper about the Acolyte. Sam, don't worry, we get every one of these. Sometimes we have to wait until we get to the end of the news story to be able to pick up the super chat. And Samuel, always feel free to just put that in the chat. We'll check it, and you don't have to spend more money to get us to check something for you. We never, ever want you to overspend. Always, folks, take care of you and your finances first. And I'm sure Samuel is doing that. But just a reminder, we love having super chats. We love having gifted memberships. We love you more. We want you to be in a good place, a happy place. And I promise, and we mean this, it's an honor every time you join us. That's the greatest gift that you can give us, is being here. Don't want you to hold back if you've got the means to do so and you want to be on the screen. It's a great part of the show. But folks, you matter. And thank you for being here with us. We truly, truly appreciate it, each and every one of you. Folks, you need to go over there and follow the Bradley's Fun. You need to be following Tuna Town TV. Yeah,
exactly. That's the next channel.
Toonie Town TV. I've been doing this too long when I start calling you Tuna Town TV. Toonie Town TV and Toonie Town Wrestling with Marvin the Movie Monster and Kevin Apollo. And also, don't forget about Nolan Thunder. And Nolan, I'm going to give you the outro today. You tell the folks you're the special one to tell everyone about your channel, because I know that there's been some times in the past when you didn't get the spotlight. Nolan, it's on you. Tell them about your stuff.
Oh, wow. I'm honored here. Thank you so much. Always an honor to be on this amazing channel.
Folks, great show. And Nolan, thanks for sharing with me. No, go ahead, Nolan. I can't.
I'm going to have to start doing this like it's a horse auction or something. Just spitfire it in like 10 seconds to get all the point across. Now, if you like my opinions on stuff, you can find me over on That Game Place. I do it over there with Marvin and company. It's a lot of fun on there. And if you want to see what I do documentaries about video game mysteries and lost media type stuff. It's a mix of like documentary, comedy, and horror. I got like an 80s synthesizer soundtrack. I got props that made them to look like old school monsters, like practical effects. And you can see some deep dives into old urban legends from the internet. So if that interests you, please check out my channel at Nolan Thunder for my series Lost in the Files. I've been doing it for about 3 or 4 years now. It's been a lot of fun.
That's right. And folks, check out that plasma TV he's got on the right side of the screen there. What a beaut.
RT, baby.
What a beaut, Clark. What a beaut. Folks, we want to thank our panel for staying with us so long. We want to thank our mods who have been out there. Haven't seen them in a little bit, but hey, it's getting late, and they may have said, you know what, Pro, you're great, but we're gone. It's bedtime, baby. That's bedtime for us as well. Folks, we're going to see you for the Pro Show tomorrow, noon Eastern. Don't forget to check out That Park Place with its show, Morning Magic at 11 a.m. And, of course, at 8 a.m., which is not long from now, go over there to Renegade Online and find the Comcast earnings call and analysis. All right, folks, it's time. It's a wrap. It's over. It's out. Good night. Game over. Drive home safely. Hope you had a good time. If you didn't, come back again. We'll try it over. Here we go. The mainstream media just can't understand how it is we continue to do what we do. They don't realize that we are powered by you, and you are
1.21 gigawatts! 1.21 gigawatts!
Folks, we've still got decades and decades left in the can. It drives the mainstream mad.
Would it make you feel any better if you knew that what we're asking Matt here to do is a holy thing?
You see, we're on a mission from God. We're on a mission from God.
Now you're gonna put me right back in the joint.
They're not gonna catch us. We're on a mission from God.
So, folks, as we always say, as we end each and every show here, and we mean it, keep learning, keep growing, and as always, keep having fun.
Every time they hit him, he stood back up again. So they hit him harder. Still, he got back to his feet. Standing man.